Hello and welcome everybody to episode number 36 of Tuesday Night TerrorVision. Tonight we are reviewing Hellboy the Crooked Man from 2024. I am joined by, that's Mrs. Co-host to you, Trina from Real Hara.
Hello, happy to be here. Looking forward to getting into this review. And hello to everybody out there joining us.
Welcome. Yeah, this is we had a week off last week. This is our first show back since The Bird with the Crystal Plumage with J-Man. And next week we are watching The Ghost in the Machine. And
yes.
For the first time, my bae, my soulmate, my better half, monoTony, will be joining us here on Tuesday Night TerrorVision. And I don't want Trina to get jealous because me and Tony will be spooning the entire show.
I'll try to contain it. I'm psyched for this.
I know he's like, I messaged Trina about that because we were talking about it the other day and he brought up, I said, I've never seen it. I've never seen it.
Yeah,
so,
I was surprised about that.
Yeah, I'm going in blind on this, much like I was tonight's movie. And I have to say I enjoyed it. Let's welcome the chat. Toy Mafia. Hail. Manliness and Motivation. What's going on? He says the DVD is pretty sparse on this. It has a trailer and scene selection. Yeah, Manliness sent me a picture. He owns this one.
Oh, cool.
He's like, for once I've seen one of the movies, or I own one of the movies that you guys are reviewing. What's up, super fan? Good to see you. Yeah, he said he's seen this one for once. Yeah. See? Can't wait to see how Trina ties it into pro wrestling.
I'll try to hold back this time.
On that note, really quick though, you guys stay tuned because if you're a channel member, and if you're not, you're going to want to join because channel members now get a new trading card. As soon as I have them in my hands, we'll have some to send out to our channel members. You get a new Pete Daddy Dollar trading card. But on this trading card, there's a code you can scan, and that code will take you to a hidden promo I've recorded that is only available if you have that trading card. So join as a channel member. I'll send you one. We send them out from the P.O. box to wherever you'd like them sent, courtesy of us here. And you'll get a kazoo, too, if you're a new channel member. I'll send you a kazoo because that's how we do. Channel members get kazoos. And if you want to send us anything, folks, we do have our merch store is down right now. I'm having issues with Teespring. I'm going to be switching to Stream Elements for my t-shirts. I'm done with Teespring. I've got my payout from them. But if you want to send us anything, speaking of which, we have a P.O. box. Here you go. There you go. There's where you send us stuff. You got to send it to the P.O. box, and we'll open it on the air like our good friend Sean Etep, who's also a channel member. We should thank the channel members. I know we're getting the business out of the way, and then we're going to get into the review, I promise. So, uno momento, por favor. One more piece of business. Here we go. What up, y'all? This is Etep from Wrestling with Horror. On behalf of the Horsemen, everybody at the channel, we want to say thank you for supporting us. We truly appreciate it. We strive to bring you the quality content that you guys deserve.
Thank you again for supporting Wrestling with Horror. We now return to our regularly scheduled program, already in progress. Back to you, Pete.
There's where you can find us on Patreon right there. Patreon.com/Wrestling with Horror 420. We recorded 4 commentaries last week, Trina.
Wow.
We recorded The Stepfather 1 and 2 with Terry O'Quinn. And
great movie.
The first one is amazing.
Yeah.
The second one is utter dog shit.
Yep, I agree.
I mean, it went like this, the quality, and then bam! And then we watched the trailer for the third one, and we collectively decided there's no way in hell we're watching that.
That's exactly what I did too.
No way. It's a different actor. I'm not watching it.
Yeah.
We also recorded Hatchet 3 and Victor Crowley for Patreon. So those Hatchet 3 will be uploaded tomorrow. I'm spreading them out. We'll have one per week, and then we're recording some more. We're doing by request by Brutal Morningwood. Kung Fu and Titties is the next movie we're watching for Patreon. So if you're not on Patreon, it's only $2 a month. It's cheaper than a channel membership, and we upload at least once a week over there. So there's a bunch of movie commentaries. There's wrestling stuff. There's conversations with us, the Horsemen over there. So go on over, check it out. Patreon.com/Wrestling with Horror 420. Now, what you're all here for. It's time for Hellboy, the Crooked Man.
All your friends, they all gonna die.
So this was a very interesting movie. I have never seen this before. I have not seen a Hellboy movie since the very first one. So this is but I looked at the timeline in this, and we start back in 1959.
Yep.
So I can't even remember where the first one timeline wise was set. Is this a prequel? Is it supposed to be? Is that what we were going for here?
I actually have no idea where this is in the Hellboy universe.
Yeah.
It seems like it's the beginning, because I don't know. It's kind of weird because they give a little bit of his backstory, where he comes from, but it's not that much. It's only about not even 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, barely.
Yeah.
Barely.
So it's definitely not an origin story.
No.
Yeah. So I don't really know. Manliness is saying that the first one starts at World War II, but then goes to so it goes kind of to present day. And this one starts in 59.
Yeah.
So that would be what? Korean, or is that Vietnam?
Vietnam was we got involved after. Was it the Gulf of Tonkin?
I think so, but I can't remember.
I don't think our involvement started. Oh, Jesus Christ. I've studied the Vietnam War so much, but it's been so long. All right, hang on. Let's see. U.S. involvement in Vietnam. It comes up. Jesus Christ, stop listening to me. So we sent advisors in the 50s. 54, the French surrendered. U.S. supported South Vietnam against North Vietnam. 1964, after the Gulf of Tonkin incident, that was Israel's fault. The U.S. increased its military presence in Vietnam. So 64.
Okay. So, okay. So, Manliness said 59 was before Vietnam got hot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, this is this. So, okay. So when they did a kind of a flashback at one point, and one of the characters is in the military uniform, and I would say that that's either World War II or the Korean War. I couldn't tell which one they would referencing.
When was Korea?
Um,
What year was Korea? Because World War II ended in 47.
I thought it was in between World War II and Vietnam. Wasn't it?
I think so. So he would have been a Korean War vet.
Yeah,
You're
that's what I
talking
was.
about Tom, the character of Tom, who
Yeah.
the actor was one of the only ones I recognized in the entire movie, and he was in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
That's what I recognize him from. He was like the junkie who became a cowboy. He went to like the 666 Ranch or whatever. If have you seen Yellowstone?
I think that's one of there were two like ranchy type shows that were on. I can't remember if it was Yellowstone that I watched or the other one that I can't remember the name of.
Because they did like Yellowstone, then you have like Yellowstone 1883 and Yellowstone 1923, and then the main show. The one was with Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. I'm getting way off topic here. Anyway, the guy that played Tom, who was a Korean War vet, and then moved back to because this takes place in like Appalachia.
Mm-hmm.
Appalachia? Or is it
Appalachia?
Appalachia. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to mispronounce it. So Appalachia. So we're on this train with Hellboy, and we have like Joe, who's like the female FBI agent. She's like a researcher who is in the field with him.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't really go into their relationship much either.
No.
But you can see throughout the movie he has feelings for her.
Yeah.
And they seem to be reciprocal. As we come to find out. And there's the male FBI agent, and they're talking. I can't I didn't really take dialogue notes, but they're talking about the creature that they have,
Mm-hmm.
and it's this nightmare-inducing, enormous fucking spider, and it gets out of the crate and fucking like the FBI guy's like shooting at it, just bites his head off, like he's done. Like the guy had like what 2 minutes in the entire movie.
Yeah. He was the red shirt.
Yep. That's a perfect analogy for what he was. He was absolutely a fucking red shirt. And he's dead. And Hellboy and this thing, you see it like smashed against the side of the train cars. The girls are kind of trying to hide. And the train car gets derailed, rolls down a mountain, and Hellboy and Joe are tossed from the train car along with the spider. And they have like kind of like a brutal fight between him and the spider before it just shrinks down to like the size of a normal, like I would say tarantula.
Yeah.
And it escapes down a drain, which is in the middle of the woods. But you're in Appalachia, which there's mining tunnels everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So these things are just running everywhere. And Joe and Hellboy are discussing the spider escape, and he's talking about how the area stinks, and she's like, I don't smell anything. He's like, no, it's beneath the surface. It's evil.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not the only time in the movie he says that. He alludes to it a couple times. And he says, it's because it's what's beneath the surface. And it's funny because they're walking around looking for a phone. And I love when they walk up to that house, like, or could I call it like a hovel? And the old lady comes out and she recognizes Hellboy. Like she's not, it's funny because like he looks like the design of him looks, from what I remember, pretty accurate to the other variations of, the other movies.
Yeah, he looks good.
Yeah, it's a good design.
Yeah.
And I have to, before we go any further, I have to give a shout out to Nelson, the psychopath, for this one. Nelson recommended it. And I said, yeah, man. I'm like, why not? We'll do this. If this one's like, this one was more of a horror type, like, which was really cool. It straight up like was a horror movie.
Yeah.
Which I really dug. It wasn't like kind of like a comedy that tried to be a horror. Like there wasn't much humor. There was a little bit, but it never derailed the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I think, there was just kind of like quips here and there, but it wasn't even like that much. It was just kind of like, and it wasn't like induced a lot of laughter. It wasn't, okay. So when I went into this, I was expecting a Marvel movie, the way that they like really go heavy-handed on the make the audience laugh.
Yep.
And that's not this movie. So I was pleasantly surprised about that. So yeah, they didn't do that with this movie. I was surprised.
I was happy about that because I know, like the first one, Ron Perlman's very quippy, you know, and it's more, yeah. And Manliness said it, the same thing I was just gonna say. They're more superhero comedies,
Yeah,
you know, and yeah, I didn't want that with this, and we don't get that, you know. So they basically, the old lady invites them in, and it's funny because the woman comments on Joe being an Oriental. So aren't you a pretty little Oriental or something like that? I was like, God damn.
yeah,
But I got her. Then I had to remember, like, oh yeah, it's 1959.
yeah,
And they're in the hills of Appalachia, and these are just they're mountain people.
yeah.
You know, they don't see a variety of the rainbow like you would in a city. So yeah. And there's this young boy on the floor who is under some type of spell, and you see he's got like that bite on his shoulder, or it's a big red mark, which you're like, you know, you're thinking, what the hell is that from at first, until we find out later on exactly what that came from.
Mm-hmm. And they call it, they say he's witched.
Yep, he's witched. And Tom Farrell is the character's name we were talking about earlier, who's a war veteran. He shows up, and he's going to look for the witch who put the spell on the young boy. And Joe asks if they can go with him, and he insists to Hellboy that they go. After all, and she insists, because after all, it's him that said this place had the stink of evil, so I have to get rid of it. And I like how they break the chapters down, because the next one is called Witch Balls.
Yes, yeah, I liked that a lot. It felt like those chapter cards in the old silent movies.
Yep,
I love that.
Yep, I like that. So, and we see the old witch go through like the blurred vision of a crow, which was really cool. And the crow's kind of speaking to her, and we see her go through the process of making a witch ball. And what was her name? Granny Oakham.
Yep.
Grammy Oakham is the witch, and holy shit, the ingredients are disgusting.
Yeah, I wrote them all down.
Go ahead, because I didn't get a chance to write them down.
Okay, so yeah, how you make a witch ball is this. First, you got to dance naked, and then you need the blood of a weasel, the tail of a rat, the guts and bladder of a black cat, buzzard eggs, and baby's nails. And then you need the foot of a toad. You need the brain of a bat, and then you boil it all, and then you cut some hair from your head and nether region, and you wrap that hair around the gob of stuff that comes from the cauldron, and you make them round. You make them a good size for throwing. And then she ends it with, you people want to trade your souls for some balls of poison. Grammy Oakham says, go right at it, and she'll see you in hell. I liked that. That was a great part.
Yes, it was. It was a good scene. I love the way it was shot. Like the blurred, it looked cool. They got really creative with some of the cinematography in this.
Yeah. Which
I appreciate, you know. Yeah, the more, like I said, the more we review movies, the more I look at things like that. And I want to go back and rewatch this, because when I'm taking notes, I don't get to like sit there and just watch every little thing.
Yeah.
So, but I do. I want to go back and rewatch it, because I'm sure I missed a few things. So Tom, Hellboy, and Joe are approaching the cabin of Cora Fisher, I believe is her name, who is supposedly the witch. And Tom announces their presence to her, and they await her until they don't wait anymore, and they just go the fuck in the house.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really seem to be like a good idea, because she's a damn witch, but you know, they're like, okay, whatever. But Cora isn't there, and Tom opens the door, and they find the dead birds like hanging from the ceiling. I think it was it dead birds or something?
I don't know what was hanging, but yeah, there were things hanging, and they found some witch balls, and and they find that demon familiar thing that she keeps in a jar there.
Yeah.
And then they go upstairs and find something.
Yeah, it's a husk of a human, like a skin suit.
Yeah, it's a meat suit.
It's a meat suit. It's Korra's. It's Korra, basically. Just
Mm-hmm.
sans everything. And we get reveal what happens with that later, but Hellboy tells Tom that his mother was a witch, but he never met her, and everything he learned about witches, he wished he didn't.
Yep. And in this scene, so the girl in this movie isn't annoying. Which
No.
Like that was surprising to me, but in that scene she was they were talking about how the familiar feeds off the host, and then she says they feed off each other, like kind of correcting, and then Hellboy and Tom kind of talk to each other, and Hellboy's like yeah, like and he says something like yeah, according to the lore, right, Tom? And they're kind of like having this conversation because she says, you know, everything I've read and all this stuff, and they're like, yeah, but we know this from real life, and she's trying to like correct them because of what she read in a book, and they're just like no, that's, we know what's real because this is our life, not just from a library.
Yeah. This was, yeah, there were some great scenes in this, some really good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You got a lot. Yeah, Tom recalls what was his experience with Effie the witch, I think it was.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, down at the riverside cleaning the bones of the dead black cat, and the devil appeared, which is the Crooked Man, which his design, I thought it was kind of cool, but I'm like, he looks like a skinny version of Warwick Davis as the Leprechaun.
That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah, I'm like, it's Leprechaun.
Well, it makes sense, right? Because he also had the coins.
Yep. He has a copper coin for every soul he's taken.
Yeah, and we expect leprechauns to have a bunch of money because with the pot of gold thing.
Yep.
So it kind of makes sense, but then like when I think of Crooked Man, I think of the Conjuring universe, and I think of that tall, skinny guy.
Yeah.
So I wasn't expecting this design.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what the heck? He looks like Leprechaun, but you know, it's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, manliness. Yeah, like exactly like that.
Yeah, it was like a caricature.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. The Crooked Man, we find out he was a settler from England or Europe who eventually got hanged, and now he claims souls for the devil. And
yeah, he became a rich man, and they say, but heaven doesn't have room for rich men, but they have a lot of room for him down there, talking about hell. But he was sent back and he gets a penny for every soul that he collects for the devil.
Yep. And Tom said this experience scared him straight, and he joined the army, and his lucky bone literally kept him safe, and he still carries it now.
Yes. Yeah, the lucky bone. So when do they describe how he got his lucky bone? It was I think it was in that
it was in that exposition scene.
Yeah, like when he met that witch Effie.
Yep.
Yeah, he
cleaned all the bones and all that.
Yep. Like he was doing like animal sacrifices and stuff, and he was cleaning the bones, and it was like whatever bone he was holding when he met the Crooked Man was his lucky bone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Crooked Man wanted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted the lucky bone.
He wanted Tom's bone.
Yeah, the Crooked Man wanted Tom's bone. Apparently he's from San Francisco. Or Portland. So next scene, the Crooked Man was hanging out at a highway rest stop bathroom. No. So let's see. So this is the scene with Korra and the meat suit next.
Yes.
The raccoon crawls in the window, crawls into the skin husk on the bed, and it slowly starts to reform into a human. And I said the transformation looked really, really good, honestly.
Yeah, it looked amazing.
This was a fantastic scene. They did wonderful with the effects here. She's screaming. Korra is screaming, kind of writhing around the bed. And she eventually comes to and she breaks down crying in front of Tom. Joe freaks out, and Hellboy asks her sarcastically if she is enjoying the field work.
Yep.
The door opens, and then Hellboy investigates, and we see a horse and a lone rider approach the cabin. And this is when we meet the witch. I believe this is she's from the story earlier.
Yeah, this is Effie.
And she had a thing with Tom at one point, I believe.
Yeah, because like she taught him how to be a witch and all that stuff.
And she's very jealous of Tom and his affections for Korra.
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of like talking shit, and she flies away, and she says something about riding the horse hard for all these years. And the horse lays down, and it turns into Tom's father.
Yes.
Because the old lady at the house told him his mother was gone and his father disappeared, I think.
Yeah, they hadn't seen him since Tom left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I says the hot witch turned an old hillbilly into a horse. And then Korra tells Tom the crooked man is waiting for him.
Yep. Yep.
So go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and she was like, "There's my Tommy" and stuff like that. So she was really happy to see Tom, and she when she saw Hellboy, she was like, and she talks in that hillbilly is a derogatory word for what they are, but I don't know what else to call them. So she talks in that hillbilly type of accent. And she's like, I like the looks of you. And she's like, Hellboy is interesting to her, but she seems to kind of know him. And she talks about like her master knowing him as well.
Yep.
And I like how Hellboy says, if you need to, because Tommy says she doesn't look a day older than the day I last saw her, and Hellboy goes, if you want to know how old the witch is, you got to cut off her leg and count the rings.
I love that line.
Mm-hmm. That was good. Nah, manliness. We don't care if you call us hillbillies. No, the actual hillbillies, like up in the mountain, up in the hollers.
We call them Appalachian Americans.
Yeah, I read that on when I was Googling what do you call the people who live in the hollers. One of them said Appalachian Americans.
Yep, that's the I believe that's the correct nomenclature.
I was like, no, we don't call them that.
This is what we call them. They're double A's, Appalachian Americans. Oh, he says I live in the Ozarks. Not much different. Yeah. I was gonna say that's isn't that pretty much kind of like the same thing, just a different area.
Yeah.
Let's see. So everyone goes to sleep. Hellboy kind of tucks Joe in, and you can see at this point like there's feelings there, you know.
Yeah.
And every time he's closing his eyes, he's seeing like these visions. I think it was his mom at this point.
Yes. Yeah. He has kind of like this dream of his mother.
Mm-hmm. And at this point, we go to another chapter, which is called The Lucky Bone.
Yep.
And we get the cool little title card and everything. And Tom's carrying his dad on the way to burial, and Hellboy offers to help, but Tom declines, saying it's his sin to bear. And they walk past, you can see these people all staring at him. It's another family of Appalachian Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And Korra goes through an explanation of how some of the magic works and warns Joe about researching it too closely.
Mm-hmm.
Which we see why later.
Yes, yeah. We definitely got to go over that scene.
That's pretty cool though. That
Mhm.
was definitely cool. So they find a mining tunnel, and Cora, you see her, she's kind of frightened, and then she disappears until Hellboy sees her levitating.
Yep.
And I gotta grab my visual aid here for this, because Hellboy sees her levitating, and this big ass snake crawls out of her gash,
Oh, God. Yeah.
gash, and into her mouth, and like in and out repeatedly.
Yeah, the way, okay, so it coils around her leg and her waist and then up and in, and it goes into her mouth, and it keeps going around, and it reminds me of Ouroboros, the way the snake eats its own tail.
Yeah.
It just keeps going around. That's the visual that, like, that's what it reminded me of.
This thing was riding her like a fucking water slide at Six Flags.
Yeah, it was a good scene.
Absolutely.
The special effects, that it looked good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was all done well.
Mm-hmm.
This was done well. They set up the tension, and then it bites her, and then it bites Hellboy like repeatedly.
Yeah.
And Cora attacks him. He throws her, and he crushes the snake's head, but he just kind of succumbs to the bites and passes out. And he awakens. Hellboy awakens. He thinks he's dead, and he follows Cora into this church and finds her staring at a levitating witch, and she tells him that's his mom. And Cora notices the crooked man is there in the form of that huge crow.
Yeah.
And it's talking. And Hellboy's mom begs for release, and the crow tells her she's pregnant with a son. And then Hellboy wakes up and realizes it was kind of like a fever dream.
I love that scene. I love the way they put little baby Hellboy in there. That looked awesome.
Yeah, again, more freaking badass effects in this.
Yeah.
What's up,
Hey.
J-Man?
Hey, J-Man.
Hey, brother. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. So Tom thinks he finds Cora buried, and it's an illusion. Like, he's just digging randomly. And Joe and Hellboy are approaching him, and Tom and the gang go to see the blind reverend at the church, who tells them a ghost came to him and told him they were coming. And the ghost is Cora Fisher. And they present Tom's father to the reverend. And as Joe's kind of leaning against the window, she sees this woman walking up to like the fence that surrounds the church. And let's see. So you see, then there's more people kind of walking up with her. And Tom says he's going to offer himself to the crooked man to stop the killing. Hellboy says he's going to help him renegotiate his deal and save his soul.
Yeah. And I love this Reverend Watts.
Yeah, he was great. I didn't catch his name. He was cool.
He's awesome.
Good character. Yeah, I'll take I gotta see. There's another one I need too. I'll message you after the show, brother. Let's see. So the sun goes down, and yeah, this is cool because like it gets dark like that. Like they're just like, oh, we're safe to travel in the sunlight. There's still daylight left, and then it just fucking gets dark.
Yeah, the sun just rapidly it goes to sundown in seconds.
Yeah, it was like time lapse.
Yep. And Joe's like, wait, no, that's not how the Earth turns. That's not how it works.
Yeah, that was I was like, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
Yeah.
Yep. So the sun's going down, and you see all these witches are gathering around the gate. Turns out that's what they are. They're all witches. And Hellboy's loading up his guns, and the Reverend's kind of walking around preaching. And then Tom's dad reanimates, and he sees him as the hot blonde witch Effie. And she tells Tom, everyone in the church is going to die because of him. So you got to come out and face him, which is the crooked man. So Tom goes outside, and he's kind of facing off with Blondie, but he's still inside the church fence, which they can't cross.
Yes, I like that. So Okay, in a lot of modern horror, for some reason, demons can enter churches.
Yep.
I hate that. So I really liked how in this movie they actually made it so that the demons couldn't enter the church, and they stuck with it. That was nice for a change.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, because in the older movies that's how it was.
Yeah.
Like, the church was a safe place. Like, even Monster Squad, they were trying to make it to the church, you know.
Yep.
So yeah, this was very, I like that. It's kind of a throwback and an homage, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see where we at. Oh, Tom says he doesn't want anybody in the church to be harmed. And she this is the Crooked Man is coming up, and like I said, he looks really good. Like, I love the aesthetic of the character, the way he moves.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Little Tom Farrell, come back to see me. Now bring me my lucky bone." Tom says he doesn't want anyone in the church harmed, and he's told that he put them in harm's way.
Yep.
And Tom goes to hand him the bone, and Hellboy fucking stops him. He's like, no, this isn't happening.
Yeah. He's like, no, if you want it that bad, that makes me not want you to have it.
Yep. That was the one piece of dialogue. I wrote that down. He calls it, I love how he calls the Crooked Man ugly, and then he's like, yeah, I know, it's the pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah.
I like that. You know, Crooked starts to try and bait Hellboy by giving him Tom's head in exchange for alleviation of his mother's suffering. Says, you bring me his head, you know, your mother won't suffer anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hellboy gets swarmed by a bunch of like flies or bugs.
Yep.
And the Crooked Man lifts up these like pieces of the gate and fucking just spears them with them. Like, they just, which was really, it looked good.
I like that too. They were showing the witches like loosening those what do you call those, the metal things on the gates,
like the bars.
The bars on
the
metal bars on the fence.
Mm-hmm.
They were loosening them, which Crooked Man uses. So I like how they set that up. Yeah,
it was good setup. It wasn't just, oh, they're there.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, well, they showed them doing that so he could use them.
Mm-hmm.
Hellboy's pulling them out, and we can hear the Crooked Man talking to the Reverend through like telepathy.
Yeah.
Which is really cool, in an attempt to buy the bone in the form of adding more time to his life. And he'll fix his vision. Let's see. So the witches and the Crooked Man, they start performing like a spell to reanimate all the corpses of the sinners. He's like, so many sinners buried inside the gates of this sacred ground or something.
Yeah.
And they reanimate that Abigail, and she tries to seduce the Reverend, and Hellboy chokeslams her. And then they revive a fornicator, a philanderer, and Hellboy's just shooting him. I said that part was fucking hilarious. He's just blasting him.
Yep.
Tom has to kill his reanimated father. The Reverend then rejects the devil's gifts, and Hellboy goes on a killing spree. Joe helps out a little bit. The Reverend wants Tom to give him the bone and tries to use the Holy Spirit, and he carves this crucifix. Like the bone like lights up, the magic.
Oh yeah,
that was really cool.
I absolutely love that. So the Reverend is talking to Tom, and he's like, "You're gonna feel that light," and he's talking like a Baptist
Baptist
minister.
Preacher.
Yeah, and he's like, "You're gonna feel that light," and all that stuff. And he's like, "We're gonna fill it with the Holy Spirit." And then they carve a cross into the shovel using the bone, because the bone lights up. And oh man, that was great. I loved that. Yeah.
So he takes the newly divine shovel to kill zombies. And he tries to behead the Crooked Man, and there's this huge explosion, right? So they all wake up the next morning, and the Crow or Crooked Man, you see him like escaping. He's flying away out of like some clothes. And Tom and the Hellboy go to hunt him down. Shalom to Hillam 29. Good to see you. Good to see you. So now we're up to I believe this is our final chapter. the hurricane. Or is there one more after this? I can't remember.
Let me see. So, yeah. So I think that is the last one. Yeah, I think that's the hurricane.
Yep, the Sardinoumois, the third act.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
So Tom leaves. Okay, I didn't understand this. What was the significance of him leaving his boots and going barefoot?
I was unsure of that too. Only thing I can think of, maybe that's just cultural.
That's kind of what I was thinking. It was like him going back to like childhood when he used to run around barefoot.
Yeah, like maybe because they probably
didn't have
are
shoes.
they mostly probably are barefoot, and so they get like better footing without shoes.
There were some gorgeous drone shots of the mountains and the hill. Those were beautiful establishing shots.
Yep.
The B-roll in this was really good. They used for those scenes, you know. So they go and they walk through the terrain. I said it's insanely treacherous. And we go back to the church, and Joe's trying to move Tom's dad's head in his body. And Hellboy said he tells Tom, he go back to him. He says, "This place is evil." But Joe, she tells the Reverend, "There's a way to hurt the crooked man. They need to put a spell on the minds." And the Reverend says she's out of her motherfucking mind.
Yeah.
I love that. You out of your motherfucking mind? So Tom and Hellboy, after their arduous journey, they arrive at, they arrive at Casa de Crooked. And they make their way inside. Then we flash back to the church, and Joe finds a passage from the church to the mine and asks why they built on a church on top of a portal to hell, basically. And the Reverend says it's as dark as the devil's asshole down there.
Yeah, she kind of looks at him like, "What the heck?"
Yeah, that was funny though. They built a church on a portal to hell.
Yeah, they figure if it opens up into a church that they're safe.
I don't know if that's sound logic.
I don't know. It's a bold move.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him. I was gonna say that's kind of like Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
Let's see. So they're preparing to go down to the tunnel, Joe and the Reverend Watts. So Tom and Hellboy are inspecting the interior of Crooked Estate, and Hellboy hears a baby crying after kicking some junk on the floor. Opens the door to see where it's coming from. It's like a dining room setting, quite formal. He removes the lid of a serving tray when Tom just disappears, and we see he was the crooked man because his neck goes
yeah
like that, and it's like, oh shit, that wasn't Tom, that was a fucking crooked man. So he was walking with Hellboy because they flash back to Tom in the other room for like a split second.
And did you notice the writing on one of the walls said Helter Skelter?
I was gonna say, I was like, I wonder if that serves any significance.
I don't know, but wasn't that like supposed to be like a race war or something like that?
That was the Manson thing. Yep.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good book, Helter Skelter, by Vincent Bugliosi. If you've ever read that, I read it like twice in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had to write a paper on it, so it was actually an interesting read. I lost my copy of it. I just want to buy another copy just to have, because I had the original. I'm pissed it was the original copy. And I loaned it. I loaned it to a girlfriend at the time, and never got it back. Like most of my hoodies, but that's okay. So Joe and the Reverend are navigating through the tunnels, and the Reverend tells Joe Hellboy has a little crush on her. He alludes to that. And then we see as they're walking, the Reverend's shovel cross, it lights up, and these crows are flying at him, and he just fucking starts just swinging for the fences, like taking these birds out left and right. And then we see Hellboy's like getting like attacked by leaves.
Yeah.
He's getting
it's like parallel.
So he's getting blown back, and then Reverend Watts we see is up in the air. He drops his shovel. The crows have lifted him up, and then they bite his eyes and his tongue out, I think it was. It was a pretty gnarly death scene for him.
It was.
Sad to see the Reverend go because he was a good character.
Yeah, I know.
He was a good character. So Hellboy is trapped in this room after being lured in, and Tom is still kind of walking around the house aimlessly. And then we see Effie. I said the hot blonde witch Effie accosts Tom, and he uses his fucking magic cat bone to yeet her out a fucking window.
Yeah, that was great.
Great scene.
Yeah.
Because you think it's like, oh shit, is he gonna bite it here? You know, it's like, did he come this far? Nope. Okay, he's still got the upper hand because he's got his cat bone. Hellboy is watching. You see, cut back to him. His mom is suffering, and he finally meets her at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells her he knew she never cared about him, so he doesn't care about her. And then she like turns into Cora, and she's like, she's burning. And Joe, we cut back to Joe, who she's crawling through the tunnels, and she comes face to face with that big ass spider from the beginning of the movie. So we see her life. Her life is like flashing in front of her eyes at this point.
Yeah, and then she starts. No, she doesn't start yet. Is that when?
I thought she was kind of like accepting her fate during that.
She starts remembering how she felt when her father died, and then she starts casting the spell on the lighter, on the spider, and with the and the light was shining on the spider. And did you see, like, it was just a flashlight, but the light was like surrounding the spider.
Yeah.
And it looked like it was very like looked like when Tom used the bone on Effie. And there was a lot of parallel, like what was happening in the Crooked House was happening below in the mines. And that reminded me of As Above, So Below.
Never seen it. Okay,
so yeah, well, it's like a saying as well. But yeah, like there was parallels between what was happening above ground to what was happening in the mines as well.
Yep. Didn't they make a movie out of that though? Like you said though.
Yeah, there is a movie.
Yeah, like I said, I've heard the saying. I've never seen the movie.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right, maybe we'll have to. Is it a horror?
It's not really horror.
A thriller.
More of like a thriller. It is like supernatural type.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll look into it. Maybe that's one we're checking out.
Yeah.
Definitely. I like I like coming across stuff like that. Like I haven't seen. Like I'm excited to do Ghost in the Machine because I haven't seen it. Never seen it. I couldn't name one actor or actress in the movie.
I can't remember the actors either. I'm so bad about that.
Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I've never seen it. So, but yeah, that's next week with monoTony. So let's see here. Where are we at? So yeah, Joe kills. Well, she doesn't kill the spider, but her magic shrinks it down. And she kind of passes out at the end of the spell from basically, I would say, exhaustion.
Yeah.
Hellboy comes to. He doesn't shoot his mom, and he finds Tom. And they leave the death room, and Joe then she kind of comes to, and she finds the spider. It's like laying there on its back, kind of like moving its legs like this. So she takes a jar and she scoops the spider back into the jar. Yeah. But she's still stuck in the tunnel. And Hellboy and Tom are in the basement of the house, and a fire starts, and we see Crooked Man rushing at Hellboy, tries to shoot him, doesn't work. We go back to Joe. She's still in the tunnel, and her flashlight dies. But we see a light coming from the other end of the tunnel, and Tom is sitting there, and he's left on the outside of the room listening to the sounds of the fighting until Hellboy just comes flying through the fucking wall because Crooked Man is just destroying him at this point.
Yeah.
And Crooked tells him, "What up? Good to see you, Alan."
Hey, Alan.
Good to see you, bro. We got to get Alan and Chris back on.
Yeah.
They I know you guys are busy. We said we'll try to get you guys back on when you're both free, man. Bring you guys back on. So Crooked Man tells Hellboy he's going to hell soon, and he has to die in the house and feed the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So
And he's going to be joining his mother soon, and he's basically taunting him.
Yep. Yeah, he's smack talking him right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom, ever so resourceful, hits Crooked Man with a witch ball, gets him right in the mush.
Yes, it lands right in his mouth. That was perfect shot.
And at this point, I said Crooked Man is going down faster than a plane flown by a DEI hire.
Oh my God. Too soon.
It's true. It's true. So, yeah, you didn't not tune in for the macabre sense of humor here. So Crooked Man gets thrown down the fucking stairs and he's dying, but he's still talking shit and tells them they're both going to burn. And then Hellboy takes his dope ass gun and alleviates Crooked Man's head from the rest of his body.
I like how when they're like Hellboy's beating the shit out of him, coins keep flying.
Yes.
And like that was awesome. Like he's going down the stairs and coins have like fallen everywhere. And then when he takes the final shot, it explodes coins like jackpot. That was great.
And you just heard, "Oh, go pick him up." Can't believe you just said that. Joe's feeding him pennies. Take a picture. Tom and Hellboy, bunch of Mort Goldmans just running around. Tom and Hellboy are making their way back to the church, and Hellboy tells Tom the power wasn't in the bone, it was in you. Crooked was afraid of you, and with good reason. So they find, and on their way back, they find Effie, who is now very old, like aged exponentially. She's very old. And Tom pulls out like the reins from the horse that she turned his father into.
Yep.
And he says, I knew I kept this for a reason. And they cut away. And Hellboy is worried about Joe. So he rushes back and he finds Joe. And she's passed out. And you can, like I said, he's taking care of her. You can, like I said, I made note, you can tell he really cares about her. She tells him she got the cargo back and she wouldn't have got it back if it wasn't for the Reverend, who unfortunately didn't make it. So Hellboy and Joe are walking away from the church. Joe tells him she knows one thing he's afraid of now. And they're looking for a phone. And they find, this is such odd placement for a telephone.
I know. It's just there.
It's a wooden box with a phone inside of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, is it tin cans attached with a string?
I know.
But
yeah, it was that was a strange decision, but yeah.
I thought they would have at least made it to like some kind of like a town or something.
At least something like that. Yeah.
But there's a payphone out in the middle of Appalachia in a wooden box.
Not connected to anything.
Nope, there's no phone lines out there. Like, I don't think they ran underground cable through the hill country.
No.
I didn't really think they had fiber optics back in 1959, but
no.
This was filmed in Bulgaria.
Oh, really?
Beautiful scenery.
Yeah.
So next thing you know, they're being airlifted out, and she kind of lays her head on his shoulder, and like it's like you see that relationship there, and we see a white horse that says "Beware, I'm a witch" written in red on the side, and that is Effie.
Yep.
And that is how our movie ends. Right there, on that.
Yep.
So overall, I thought that the locations were fantastic. I didn't know this was filmed in Bulgaria. I've never been to Appalachia, not familiar with it, but I've watched a lot of videos that go through the woods and the hills, and I think this was a pretty accurate representation of the landscape, that just from what I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's just in the mountains, so
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
Look good. I didn't think the acting was bad in this.
No, definitely not.
I didn't think the acting was bad. The guy that played Hellboy, I gotta look him up. Let's see, Hellboy, the Crooked Man. Let's see who that was. Jack Kesy.
Mm-hmm.
And Adeline Rudolph played Bobby Joe Song. Effie was Leah McNamara. Jefferson White is Tom Farrell. Hannah Margetson was Cora Fisher, and Joseph Marcel was Reverend Watts. Who played the Crooked Man? Oh, Martin Bassendale was the Crooked Man, whose name was Jeremiah Whitkins. Yeah. Yeah,
I
Jeremiah
thought his last name was Olmsted or something like that.
Oh, was it? Oh, Martin Bassendale, Brian Taylor from Martin Bassendale, the Crooked Man, Brian Taylor. Huh. Yeah, Martin Bassendale was the crook. That's his name. I don't know. Maybe I had it wrong. But so the cast was virtually unknowns.
Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't heard of these people before.
No, like I said, the only one I'd ever seen was Jefferson White, and I didn't know his name. I just knew he was the guy in Yellowstone who was a junkie and then turned into a cowboy. But I enjoyed the movie. Was it fantastic? No. Was it unbearable? No. I thought it was fine and fun. I enjoyed it. It got a little bit weird at times, but it's a Hellboy movie. You know, what do you expect? The horror aspects of it were good. The effects were fantastic. I thought the guy that played Hellboy did a damn good job. I liked the story. I don't really see any massive plot holes or anything in this. I don't know. It's time to score it, but I'm trying to accurately, score this thing.
I liked the music, like the atmosphere that they, with all the sound effects and stuff like that.
Yes.
I loved that. Yeah.
Was there anything you really didn't like about it?
There were a couple of scenes where, like, it was just like, well, they were in the church 1 second and then they're out of the church the next second. It was a little strange, like, in that regard. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I can't really pinpoint anything in particular.
No. Like, same. I would have liked a little more backstory for, like, Hellboy, but
yeah, like a little more of his mother. Yeah, that would have been good.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I can't think of anything that really takes away from the movie. No.
I mean, like I said, there's no glaring deficiencies anywhere.
No.
The dialogue was solid. Acting was good. Effects were good. Locations were good. Set pieces look good. I mean, I can't compare it to the other movies because, like I said, it's been so long since I've seen part one. I've never seen Golden Army. I've never seen the new David Arbor one. So, I mean, I'm kind of scoring this one just on its own merit. I'll go a solid 3 out of 5.
Okay.
I think 3, and I don't mean that as a negative in any way, but I mean, I enjoyed it. Is it something I'm going to go out of my way to watch again? I might watch it one more time just to actually sit down and watch it. But I mean, I think 3 out of 5 from my perspective is fair. What do you give it, Trina?
Yeah, I'm gonna say 3.5.
Okay. 3.5. All right, 3.5. Yeah, it's like I said, it's a good movie. It's solid where it needs to be. There's no glaring deficiencies. I think a 3 out of 5 is my where I'm at with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably get heat for giving this one a worse score than Imaginary.
Well,
because everybody hated Imaginary except for us. Now I want to watch reviews of this and see what like Jeremy Johns and Cody Leach and Stuckman thought of it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because
I would like to know that.
I like to compare where we're at with it to some of the bigger ones. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of fun to do that. J-Man said he's got 2 comments here. The first 2 Hellboys give most of the backstory of Hellboy, so this movie just skipped it. I like this one. Yeah, like I said, I enjoyed this. Hellboy 2 is a masterpiece. Hellboy 1 is very good. The David Arbor one was not that great. This one maybe 7.5 out of 10, maybe even 8. Okay, so he's pretty much in line with where we are.
That's pretty much where we are. We do out of 5, he does out of 10, so that's equivalent.
Yeah, they average out.
Yeah.
So that was our review of Hellboy, folks. The Crooked Man. I hope you enjoyed that. Manliness said it was a solid movie. He liked it. I'd recommend this one. Like I said, you don't have to be a seasoned viewer of the series. You can kind of just jump right in at this point, and it's just a cool movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, just great effects. Yeah, I like the unknowns in the movie. I do like that. So
yeah. But
like I said, I had one recognizable cast member. To me, that was it. That was the entire thing. But yeah, no stream tomorrow night here on the channel. No stream tomorrow night. We're gonna be doing some gaming at some point this week, I believe, and there'll be a couple videos later in the week. Not on Friday though, because I have to teach all day Friday. Yeah, yay! I got suckered into that, but that's okay. That's okay. Gotham needs me. Quick programming note. Remember, next Monday night, member stream starts at 7:55 and will run until 10:30. 2.5-hour member stream. Sign up, guys, as channel members right now. If you want to watch Raw with us, if you're a channel member, we got seats backstage in the viewing studio. You watch Raw. We're going to go through the entirety of Raw. Then Nitro goes live at 10:30 Eastern for an hour to 90 minutes, and we'll review the show directly after. And at the end of 90 minutes, we'll give you any other wrestling news that breaks during the week. We'll be live tomorrow. No, not tomorrow night. Thursday night on the Awful Wrestling Opinions channel for the Awful Wrestling Show with myself, James Dillinger, Mad Dog, and whoever else decides to pop on from the world of independent wrestling. And just another one, if you guys aren't aware, hi, I'm an independent wrestler. And next, March 8th, I'll be stepping up to the main roster at Super Shogun Pro Wrestling. I'm in an 8-man tag against Chap Daddy, JJ Hughes, Mad Dog Warren, Bam Grizzly, and Bad News Roberto Cruz. It'll be Steven Lyrics, myself, Tate Manson, and Maverick squaring off with them. March 8th, West Branch, Michigan, Dragon's Den Productions, Super Shogun Wrestling. Doors open at 6. Show starts at 7. 6 matches on the card. Tickets are $10. Adults, $5. Kids, you can get them at the door. Come check us out if you're in the area, folks. And if not, subscribe to the Super Shogun channel. Link is in the description because that's where you can see yours truly. There, I'm done with the wrestling, Trina.
Awesome.
But
all right.
coming up the rest of the week.
All right. Well, tomorrow on my channel, Real Horror, you can catch Vinnieart and I. We're covering episodes 4 and 5 of Hannibal season 2, and that's at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then on Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, we do Collectible Past on Tommy and Vinny's channel. And then Sunday, pretty sure Sunday, Vinny will probably be doing like Primal.
Yeah, it's
the
Primal.
watch party. And yeah, that's around 8 or 8 p.m. Eastern as well. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing this week. Other than that, this was really fun to review with you, Etep, and thank you all for joining us.
Yes, thank you, everybody in the chat. We appreciate you guys and gals out there, our channel members, Patreon supporters alike. I'm Etep Okuian for Mrs. Co-host Trina from Wrestling with Horror. If we don't see you, have a great day, a pleasant tomorrow. We'll catch you on the next one. And remember, it's always better to burn out than fade away.